Hey there, interwebs, and welcome back to Flagshaming, where I call out states who don't follow the standards for their standards. Number 26, Michigan. It's an SOS. Shame! And -1 for a blue field. At the top we have the national motto, E pluribus unum, and a bald eagle because Murica! Directly beneath on the escutcheon is the Latin word tuebor, meaning I defend. Also on the escutcheon in the center we have Sasquatch with a walking stick shaking his fist at a river. Okay, that's actually a pioneer raising his hand in a gesture of peace and holding a long gun to symbolize the fight as a frontier state, but I can't tell that at a distance, and neither can anyone else. You could be forgiven for thinking the supporters are a brace of stags, but if you look closely you may notice the antlers are slightly different, because that's actually an elk and a moose. If most people can't spot the difference on a static image, what caused Michigan to think they'd be able to tell when it's flapping in the wind 100 feet away? Below we have a banner with yet a third pretentious Latin motto. Geez, Michigan, are you and Missouri in some sort of secret Cold War to see who can put the most mottos on their flag? This one's the state motto, Si caetis peninsulum aminem circumspice. This is Latin for, if you seek a pleasant peninsula, look around you. Pfft, that's the most humorously specific state motto I've ever heard. I guess if you seek a pleasant cape, fjord, or volcanic archipelago, you can jolly well piss off then. At first for my redesign I was going to make a horizontal tricolor of gold for the sunrise, green for the land, and blue for the waters of Lake Michigan, but then as I looked at the state seal again I was suddenly inspired to do another triangular design like I did for North Carolina, so now it evokes the look of a peninsula extending out into the water. The antler comes from the elk on the current design, and its 5 points represent the 5 Great Lakes of the Great Lakes state, and I did my best to position all the points relative to one another like the lakes are geographically. The antler itself is white as a symbol of hope. While researching Michigan's flag, I discovered this redesign by Redditor Darth Hunter. It bears very little resemblance to my Michigan redesign, but it's damn close to my North Carolina redesign, and I swear I didn't steal the idea. I guess it's true. Great minds think alike, but vexillologists rarely differ. Number 27, Florida. The current flag of Florida uses the entire state seal, exterior words and all, on a white field with a red saltire, and this is just visually interesting enough to make me reconsider the shame bell. Oh, what the heck, that's still a white sheet in the state seal. Shame! Given their geographic proximity, it'd be easy to look at the flags of Alabama and Florida and assume one was inspired by the other or that they share a common vexillological ancestor, but they don't. Alabama's saltire comes from the 60th Alabama Volunteer Infantry Regiment, as previously mentioned, and Florida's comes from the Spanish Cross of Burgundy. You see, up until 1900, Florida's flag looked like this, a literal seal on a sheet, but it was decided that it looked too much like a white flag of surrender. The Burgundy Cross of Burgundy was added in reference to the first flag flown over Florida when it was colonized by the Spanish in 1513. In 1763, they traded it to Great Britain in the Treaty of Paris, and the King's colours were flown instead. This is different from the flag of the UK because it lacks the red cross of St. Patrick of Northern Ireland, and I love this design. It was only flown in Florida for a brief time, though, because 20 years later Spain regained control of the territory in 1783, and a mere 2 years later King Charles III changed the Spanish flag to the red and gold tribar, which flew over the Florida provinces until they joined the U.S. in 1821. For the next 40 years, Florida had no official flag, but then BAM! The Civil War breaks out and Florida needs something to represent herself. This is the Bonnie Blue flag of the Republic of West Florida, which we've discussed before, and it was used both as an early flag of the Confederacy as well as the inspiration for Florida's first semi-official flag in 1861. Later that year, after declaring secession, they adopted this design heavily inspired by the Confederate flag. Spoiler alert, the South lost and Florida was once again part of the United States, and in 1868 they adopted this SOS. For my redesign, I decided to keep the round thing on a saltire motif, and pretty much nothing else. In the center is a sun for the Sunshine State, and its 27 yellow points represent the usual thing. The orange disc also symbolizes, well, in orange, Florida's iconic crop. The party per saltire division of the field is a nod to the Cross of Burgundy. The blue and white comes from the Bonnie Blue flag of West Florida, even though that's now part of Louisiana, but who's counting? The top and bottom quadrants represent the clouds and foam of the sky and sea. The quadrants towards the hoist and the fly represent the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic Ocean to the west and east, respectively. While we're in the area, I'd also like to call out one truly horrendous city flag, Tampa's. Look, I'm glad we all agree swallowtails look cool, but that can't be your only reason for deviating from a nice sensible rectangle. Ohio's flag makes reference to a historic cavalry guidon. Nepal's flag represents the country's mountainous terrain. Tampa's flag looks like a clown threw up on it. Even if you remove that hideous seal, you've still got 5 clashing colors with 2 different shades of yellow on a white background, making up a strange conglomeration of stars and stripes going every which way. It looks the way it does because its designer, F. Grant Whitney, tried to incorporate the flags of all the major groups to settle in the area: Spain, France, the US, the UK, and Italy. He also hid an H in there for Hillsborough County and a sideways T for Tampa. All you've got as a result is a design that can't seem to decide on a look. Oddly enough, this is one of only 2 flags I know of with more colors in its field than the seal on top of it. Some people actually like this flag and think it hits the Maryland point. I'm going to vehemently disagree. Maryland's flag is a hot mess. Tampa's is just a dumpster fire. That's why I made this. It's got a white star and a blue canton for the US, blue, white, and red stripes for France, and they're tilted like the stripes of the Union Jack for the UK. It's also got the red and gold tri-bar of Spain, and the Italian tricolour in the lower right. Slightly upside down, but you can't win 'em all. Number 28. Texas. Contrary to the conventional advice, I decided to mess with Texas. But Texas's flag is good, I hear you cry. Remember rule number 5. Be distinct. But Texas's flag is distinct, I hear you cry again. I know it when I see it. Do you, though? Because I've got 19 to 1 odds that you didn't realize this flag right here isn't the flag of Texas. It's the flag of Chile. This is the Texan flag, and this is my redesign. I've added the cannon to help dispel some of the confusion, and it comes from the Gonzales flag, which featured a black cannon under a star with the words "Come and Take It," and was flown during the first major battle of the Texas Revolution against Mexico. Maybe not the best choice of words to pair with a big phallic object, but to each his own. Plus, I figured if there's one state that's not going to be opposed to adding guns to its flag, it's going to be Texas. Their current flag used to be their national flag when they were the Republic of Texas and not just the state of Texas. You may have heard that because Texas used to be their own nation, theirs is the only flag allowed to be flown at the same height as the US flag, but that isn't true. All state flags may be flown at the same height as the national flag, so long as the national flag is in the leftmost position from the audience's point of view. The red and white bars of Texas's current design come from the flag of the Republic of Fredonia and later the Fredonian Rebellion. There, the white and red bars symbolized the union of European settlers and native tribes attempting to secede from Mexico. The Lone Star first appeared on what is now known as the Jane Long flag of 1819, predating the Fredonian Rebellion by 7 years. It now represents Texan solidarity. If you need a way to distinguish Texas and Chile, my mnemonic is that everything's bigger in Texas, including the blue portion of flags. I've also noticed that the quality of a state flag can be accurately gauged by the length of its Wikipedia article. I mean, really, you only need 6 words to say it's a seal on a bedsheet. The flag of Texas's article is a novel on its own. Pennsylvania's flag doesn't even have its own article, just a subsection on the page for the state coat of arms. Number 29. Iowa. Much like Missouri, Iowa is varying the SOS motif by making the field a tricolor like the French flag because they were part of the territory bought from France in the Louisiana Purchase. Unlike Missouri, though, they've opted not to stick their entire crazy seal on a flag and have only gone with the eagle seen at the top because America! It's holding a banner with the state motto, "Our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain." It's certainly better than using the whole seal, but the eagle is still too detailed and that's way too much writing. Shame! Speaking of their state seal, it is officially described as follows, quote, "A sheaf and field of standing wheat, with a sickle and other farming utensils on the left side near the bottom, a lead furnace and a pile of pig lead on the right side, the citizen soldier with a plow in his rear, supporting the American flag and liberty cap with his right hand and his gun with his left, in the center and near the bottom, the Mississippi River in rear of the whole, with the steamer Iowa underway, an eagle near the upper edge, holding in his beak a scroll with the following inscription upon it, 'Our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain,'" unquote. In 2010, Representative Ray Ziertelbach proposed changing the wording to use the phrase, quote, "the citizen soldier standing in front of a plow," unquote, because he thought, quote, "the citizen soldier with a plow in his rear," unquote, was too suggestive. His proposal was never considered because the state legislature thankfully understood that they had better things to do with their time. I'll be honest, I had no idea where to start with this redesign, but then I saw that Iowa's nickname is the Hawkeye State. Out of curiosity, I googled Hawkeye flag to see what results I'd get and discovered this. It's apparently the flag for University of Iowa's big leather egg fight team, and it's totally badass. Just steal that! My redesign, ironically, isn't related to the sports ball, but looks like it should be. MLB specifically, but that's neither here nor there. For the Hawkeye State, I made the central feature a striking hawk, and its eye is a stylized eye. This obviously stands for Iowa, but also represents my inability to resist a visual pun. Get it? Visual, because it's an eye-based pun? Sorry. The star in the upper right has 5 points for the 5 other features of the state seal, excluding the eagle because 2 birds of prey are a bit much for any flag. They are the citizen soldier with a plow in his rear, the liberty cap, the wheat for agriculture, the lead for mining, and the steamboat Iowa. The red, white, and blue come from the French flag represented on their current design. Number 30. Wisconsin. We've got an SOS on a blue field, -1, and they put their name and date on it like we're back in high school again. Shame! At the top, we have the state motto, Forward. The crest is a badger, their state animal, but at first glance I thought it was a beaver and didn't realize my mistake until I read what it's supposed to be. The supporters are a sailor and a yeoman, and neither looks happy to be here. The escutcheon is gold quartered by a black cross, and the quadrants contain a plough for agriculture, a pick and shovel for mining, an arm and hammer for manufacturing, and an anchor for navigation. In the center is the U.S. coat of arms, surrounded by the words A pluribus unum because Murica! The compartment is a cornucopia symbolizing agricultural wealth, and 13 lead ingots representing mineral wealth and the 13 colonies. For my redesign, I first made a black cross on a yellow field, taking the sole interesting feature of the state seal. Then, taking inspiration from the state motto Forward, I considered doing another triangle design like I did for North Carolina, but to my mind this is too close to Michigan, both geographically and in design. Instead, I modified the black cross to look more like an arrow. Then I remembered that I love tribars, changed the ratio, and made this. The green represents the land and its agriculture. The blue represents the lakes and navigation. The top bar is specifically to represent Lake Superior, and the lower right is Lake Michigan. The white symbolizes peace and prosperity, and the arrow obviously indicates forward. It's just missing one thing. There. Now it's perfect. If you prefer crosses to tribars, you're welcome to use this one. They're both better than an SOS. IMHO. That's all for today, folks. If you want to discuss the redesigns, there's a Reddit link in the description, along with a link to my Twitter. Next episode next weekend, and Wednesday we'll have a new episode of How Fascinating. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.